Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Stallings. You know me here on YouTube as MarauderEX, and I'm your host for My Two Cents, a video series that I do where I take a topic in the gaming industry or gaming culture, and I give you my thoughts, feelings, or opinions on the matter. Usual disclaimer, my thoughts and opinions do not necessarily reflect the thoughts and opinions of Op Rainfall, nor are my thoughts and opinions subject to being the end-all be-all of fact. I would say this because a lot of the other videos that I've done like this, I've gotten comments either giving me new information in a respectful, positive manner, which I do appreciate, and then others just calling me, stupid for having a different opinion. That's not going to be tolerated. Sorry, it's just not. But please, if you have information that may cause me to change my mind, it may or may not, but something to give me a new perspective on it, possibly, and it's presented in a, more, respectful, adult, courteous manner, then I'll take it into consideration. Otherwise, don't feed the trolls. Which is, a rather close to home topic for this one. This topic for my 2 cents is fanboys and fanboy-ism. For those of you who don't know what a fanboy is, this is a term that originated in the very early days of gaming, back in the 16-bit days, most notably between Sega and Nintendo. Back then, both consoles gave, different experiences in terms of quality, type of game, and to this day people argue about it incessantly as to which console is technically superior or had the better library. Now, a lot of the technical superiority, that can be measured, but then it's what people can do with the technology given to them that can change things. But which library is better is purely subjective, and fanboyism it's continuing to this day, and even still related to Nintendo and Sega of old, and it's frustrating to see this in this day and age. I've done an article that I'm completely and 100% behind the concept of console exclusive titles, because I feel that that makes one console a little bit different than the other. Because as it is now, what's the difference between two consoles that are basically the exact same as a basic computer? If you've got a PC, a lot of the games that are multi-library, you can do that. Well, to this day, I spend a lot of time on internet forums, things like that, and I see people arguing about this all the time. And the reason why I want to talk about fanboyism is because I really feel it's detrimental to everything related to gaming. Now, back in the day, between the Genesis and the SNES, you had a choice. What type of game did you want to play? Or were you legacy on one or the other? The Master System was very popular in Europe, which caused a lot of people just to go ahead and get the Genesis, or Mega Drive, as it was known there. Here in the US, the Nintendo Entertainment System was a lot more popular, rather, and which caused a lot of people just to say, oh, I'm going to upgrade to the SNES. But why can't the two exist peacefully? Why can't you say, oh, well, that system has great games, but I prefer the games on this one, instead of, my system's better than yours? Why does that have to be a thing? You to this day, you've got people who rage on the internet, and I'm aware that they are probably a vocal minority, but they are very vocal, and it bleeds over into other conversations. I witnessed a discussion just yesterday talking about Mario Kart 8. It's on the official Sega forums, but on the official Sega forums, they have subsections for other platforms because they are now third party. And on the Nintendo subforum, it was, conversation as usual that somehow degraded into Mario Kart 8 versus Sonic All-Stars Racing, and which one was better. And it's thrown back and forth of which one's better, but the bulk of the argument is it's subjective. It's like, do you like these tracks better? Do you like these characters better? Do you like this music better? Do you like this style of art better? In terms of technical display, people, they'll throw out the 720p, 1080p, 60 FPS, 30 FPS, what have you. But again, does that necessarily make the game better? Or does it just make it a little more technically advanced? And the fact that people are so adamant to defend, like they feel the need to defend their purchase and feel justified and vindicated that they made the right decision, that they will just completely bash something for no other reason than to make themselves feel better about their specific purchase. Now, I know a lot of people do not have the means to buy more than one console. That's asking a lot, especially in the days of, $200, $300, $400, $500 consoles. That's asking a lot. Buying just 2 consoles, having no games to go with them, can get you up to close to $1,000 in some places. And that's just crazy. But no one's expecting you to buy both of them at the same time. But what's stopping you from getting one down the line? Me, personally, I bought a 360 first, because I had friends on the 360. And then later on, it's like, I finally have the money, I'm going to go ahead and pick up a PS3. I've picked up a PS3, and I'm kind of regretting purchasing them in the order that I did, because the PS3 has a larger library of games that I personally enjoy. 360 has a great library. I've got a lot of really fun games for it. But at that point, I didn't do my consumer homework. So, do I need to go online and post that because I bought a 360 first that it's, a superior system? No. And I really wish other people wouldn't either. Because I learned very early on that it's the games that make for the experience, not the console. The console's just the medium in which to deliver the games. It's the games themselves. I'm not particularly loyal to any particular hardware developer. Back in the day, I was more a Sega kid. I had Genesis, Saturn, and a Dreamcast. I was one of those kids who I asked for a Sega Saturn instead of a PS1 or an N64 that year for Christmas. Why did I do that? Well, in my personal experience, I had a friend who had a PS1, and I had a friend who had an N64. So to me, the logical choice would be, why not get a Sega Saturn? That way, between the three of us, we can experience every game that generation had to offer. There wasn't a competition of, I got a Saturn, I'm better than you. Or, he got an N64, he's better than me. But that's the mentality a lot of people seem to take with it. And a lot of people will, like I said before, they will staunchly defend a company that they have a almost blind loyalty to. There were people who were very critical of Operation Rainfall early on, stating that we were just harassing Nintendo and that nothing good will come out, and just let Nintendo do their thing. That they know more than we do. They've done the research that this game won't sell well here. And, just flat right being insulted that we would ask Nintendo for these games. That we would ask to have the games that we want to play on a console that was basically being ignored. There was a huge gap that year for the Wii between what had come out and what was going to come out, and we were hoping to get these games to fill that void. All 3 games that we campaigned for have eventually came out. I'm proud owner of all 3. Xenoblade was limited release. It was only available through Nintendo or GameStop. That didn't stop it from shooting up to $90, $100, $110 at some points on Amazon because it was a very sought-after game. Last Story has been praised as Xseed's highest-selling game of all time. But we felt that we knew better asking Nintendo for these games, and Nintendo had their own plan. Well, Nintendo may have had their own plan, but they weren't cluing us into it. They weren't cluing anyone into it. They went out and said, "Ooh, there's no plans to localize it. Sorry." And, It may just be the fact that I'm biased and work for Rainfall. I seriously doubt, without the fans being as vocal as they were, those games would have come out on that system. Now, it's entirely possible that they could have been released as Wii U titles, even though they were Wii titles. All you have to do is slap a U on the cover. Maybe, up the graphics a little bit better, polish it, add a couple of extras. Who knows? Could have been, Wii U launch titles, but they came out on the Wii eventually. Nintendo decided that it was worth it. But people felt that we were audacious and that we were disrespectful. We tried to not be disrespectful. We posted, I wasn't here for a lot of the early days of the campaign, but we had a set script that you can use of, I'm a consumer, I have a Wii, I'm interested in this game, if you have any information, please forward it to me. We had very respectful prompts of, this is just the nicest way to ask, but to get the point across that there are people interested in this. But that was still crossing the line, and that we were, somehow bad people for it, and people were offended or insulted or, just any other sort of synonym for something bad because of our actions of wanting the games that we wanted to play. So people who have that type of fanboyism, that have the blind loyalty, they're just as bad as the people who have the superiority complex. Because to them, that company can do no wrong, even if they do wrong. I mean, I've talked a lot in my personal videos about my relationship with Sega and how I no longer like them because of actions that they've made several years ago and actions that they continue to make in terms of how they treat their fans and how directors of their projects treat their fans, like the Shining series. Just recently, there was an article about Mr. Sakurai, the director of Smash, who came across as a little touchy about design choices of his game. And not less than 2 hours after the article was published, people were on either side of the fence just yelling and screaming at each other that, we have the right to, complain about it if they don't like it, or you should just blindly accept Nintendo because it's his vision. And I don't agree with either side. I mean, I agree that we should be able to voice our criticisms. If we don't like it, then, don't like it. But I will never accept well, it's their decision, you should just accept it. I didn't accept that decision with Sega. I did what I could to fight Sega when they made business decisions that I did not agree with. I'm one of the supporters of people against Nintendo for some of their policies toward YouTube and Twitch and monetization of that. Whereas other people say, oh, it's Nintendo's property, they have any right to do with it whatever they want. Personally, as a Let's Player, I'm a little biased on it, but I'd like to think that they don't own the full rights to it. And Nintendo has made concessions. I will admit, they have made concessions. They started off claiming 100% of the ad revenue on any video pertaining to them on YouTube, even ones that do kind of fall under fair use for review purposes, criticisms. Several videos were removed for that because there are people who make their living on YouTube reviewing and discussing games, and they couldn't make money off of Nintendo because Nintendo was claiming it all for themselves. So people either stopped reviewing Nintendo or they just took the videos down. But now Nintendo's decided to share the wealth, and that's something that I'm completely fine with. 100% fine. If they want to work out a way so that both of us can benefit from it, it's better than bickering. But the fanboys that say, oh no, it's Nintendo's, you have no right to it. It's the blind loyalty, the superiority, just all other types of fanboy that are dismissive or insulting to other sides of the gaming industry for whatever reason. They it rubs me the wrong way, and it really gives a negative impression of gaming. There's been a lot of talk about gaming culture in the news as of late, and the fanboyism is not the tip of the iceberg on that. It's just one small ice cube floating next to the iceberg. But it's one of the things that we can do easily without ruffling too many feathers, of just taking it a step back and realizing that people have different likes and dislikes. Trying to feel better about your purchase by insulting someone else's doesn't do anyone any good. Having blind loyalty to a company without questioning that maybe what they're doing isn't right, or maybe what they're doing would have been better for the consumer if they did something else. Or just, having the right to question that maybe I don't agree with that choice. Free to question and criticize, without having a no true Scotsman argument thrown at you. Oh, if you were a real fan of this, you wouldn't be questioning this. And that's one of the things that I loathe seeing online, is these logical fallacies, like no true Scotsman. Oh, no true Scotsman would do that. No true Nintendo fan would, ever criticize Smash Brothers. No true Nintendo fan would ever buy a Sega product. No true Sony fan would, buy a Nintendo Wii U or a 3DS. You'd have a PS3, PS4, PSP, and PS Vita. That's all you would have. And that's ridiculous to me, because there are experiences that you're going to find on one console over another that, if you just completely dismiss that console, then you're missing out. Understand if you can't afford to buy it, but don't insult it. Just maybe one day pick it up, at its cheapest. It's getting ready, new console generation's coming out. You can get it for, less than $100. Pick it up. See what all the fuss was about. Might find something you like. But just outright dismissing it for reasons doesn't do you any good. And that's really all I gotta say on the topic. I'm not entirely sure what I can ask you guys as far as your thoughts and opinions on the matter. Is it possible to be pro-console exclusive titles and anti-fanboy? I mean, I'd like to think so, but it is a tough question. Especially, for the average consumer wanting to get the most out of their dollar. Which I completely understand. I completely agree with. But I really feel both of those things can coexist. But I really think it has to start with fans taking a step back and realizing that I can like this and you can like that. And that doesn't make either of us right or wrong. We have different likes and dislikes. Different opinions. So that's just my 2 cents on the matter. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in my next video. Till then, later everyone.